Hello students, welcome to readmedprep Academy channel. Today in Human Health and Diseases Part 2, we are going to talk about the infectious diseases or communicable diseases. In this we are going to talk about the bacterial diseases and the viral diseases. Now bacterial diseases. Introduction. Though the number of bacterial species is very high, only a few bacteria are associated with human diseases, and these bacteria are called pathogenic bacteria. Such pathogens may emit toxins and affect the body. Bacteria spread through air, water, or by inhaling the droplets or aerosols, or even by sharing utensils, dresses with an infected person. Freezing does not kill the bacteria, it only arrests their growth. Urinary tract infection (UTI) is one of the most common bacterial infections, affecting 150 million people each year worldwide. Bacterial diseases can be confirmed by certain tests. For example, typhoid fever can be confirmed by Vidal test. Now, let us see the common pathogenic bacteria and the bacterial diseases in this table. Serial number, diseases, causative agents, site of infection, mode of transmission, and the symptoms. Shigellosis, it is otherwise called the bacillary dysentery, caused by Shigella species. The site of infection is the intestine. It is transmitted through food and water contaminated by feces or by fecal oral route. It causes severe abdominal pain, dehydration, blood and mucus in the stools. Now, bubonic plague. It is otherwise called the Black Death. It is caused by a bacteria called Yersinia pestis. It affects the lymph nodes. The rat flea vector is the agent that transmits the disease, called Xenopsilla chiopis. It causes fever, headache, and swollen lymph nodes. Diphtheria, caused by Corynebacterium diphtheriae. It affects the larynx, skin, nasal, and genital passages. It spreads through droplet infection. It causes fever, sore throat, hoarseness of voice, and difficulty in breathing. Cholera, caused by Vibrio cholerae. It affects the intestine. It spreads through contaminated food and water or the fecal oral route. Even houseflies play a very important role in the spread of the disease. It causes severe diarrhea and vomiting and dehydration. Tetanus, called lockjaw, caused by Clostridium tetani. It causes spasm of the muscles. Through wound infection, it spreads. It causes rigidity of the jaw muscles, increased heartbeat rate, and spasm of the muscles of the jaw and the face, and even the entire body sometimes in later stages. Typhoid causes enteric fever, caused by Salmonella typhi. It affects the intestine, spreads through contaminated food and water. It causes headache, abdominal discomfort, fever, and diarrhea. Pneumonia, caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. It affects the lungs, spreads through droplet infection. It causes fever, cough, painful breathing or difficulty in breathing, and brown-colored sputum. Tuberculosis, caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, affects the lungs, spreads through droplet infection. It causes respiratory infection, difficulty in breathing, hemoptysis, mucopurulent discharge. Now let us move on to bacterial resistance. Antibiotics not only kill harmful bacteria but also kill beneficial bacteria of our body. If an antibiotic is used too often to fight a specific bacterial infection, the bacteria may become resistant to the specific antibiotic. Hence, the specific antibiotic can no longer be used to treat the bacterial infection. So, some bacteria have developed resistance to many antibiotics. Therefore, infections caused by these bacteria are difficult to be treated and cured. Steps to reduce the bacterial resistance. Risk of bacterial resistance can be reduced by avoiding using antibiotics to treat minor infections that can be taken care by our immune system. Do not use an antibiotic to treat viral infections such as common cold or flu. Always follow the prescription of the doctor. Skipping doses or failing to complete the prescription may allow antibiotic resistance to develop. Here you can see the various mechanisms of bacterial resistance to antibiotics. You can see on the left side the drug excretion by activation of efflux pumps. Decreased uptake of the antibiotic by changes in the outer membrane permeability. Modification of the drug target. or enzymatic inactivation of the drugs. So these resistance can be overcome sometimes by using antibiotic adjuvants like beta-lactamase inhibitors, efflux pump inhibitors, or permeabilizers. Here you can see how the antibiotic resistance is transmitted. On the left side, you can see the antibiotic resistant bacterium, which contains the plasmid, which is an extra chromosomal material which has the resistant genes of the antibiotic. On the right side, you can see the antibiotic sensitive bacterium. The plasmid is transmitted to another bacteria through conjugation. The plasmid copy containing the resistant gene, when it is transferred to the non-resistant bacteria, then the resistance is transmitted. So the resistance continues in the population and bacteria become more and more resistant in more numbers. Now let us move on to the viral diseases. Viruses are the smallest intracellular obligate parasites which multiply within the living cells. Outside the living cells, they cannot carry out the characteristics of a living organism. Viruses invade the living cells, forcing the cells to create new viruses. The new viruses break out of the cell, killing it, and invade other cells in the body. Here you can see when a virus enters into the cell, the virus RNA and the RNA polymerase separate and enter into the host nucleus. Polymerase gets activated and viral messenger RNA is synthesized, and this moves to the cytoplasm of the cell, and the messenger RNA is used to produce more number of viral proteins and lipids, and new viruses are assembled within the cell. At the end, the cell is filled up with the viruses, and this cell bursts out and releases large number of viruses, killing the cell, and these viruses infect the new cells. Most common viral disease in human beings is the rhinovirus infection, which causes one of the most common infectious human ailment called the common cold. Common cold is caused by more than 150 different strains of rhinoviruses. Moreover, their RNA genome keeps changing due to mutation. Hence, it is very difficult to prepare a common vaccine for the disease. Here in this image, you can see the rhinovirus structure, which is an RNA virus, and it enters through the tip of the nose, through the nostrils, and affects the nasal mucosa as well as the adenoid area, and the infection causes running nose, sneezing, and later stages sometimes cough. Viral diseases are generally grouped into 4 types on the basis of organs affected and the symptoms produced in the body organs: pneumotropic diseases, dermotropic diseases, viscerotropic diseases, and neurotropic diseases. Pneumotropic diseases affects the respiratory tract, example infection by influenza. Dermotropic diseases affects the skin and the subcutaneous tissues, example infection caused by chicken pox and measles. Viscerotropic diseases affects the blood and the visceral organs, example infection by yellow fever and dengue fever. Neurotropic diseases affects the central nervous system, example infection by the rabies and polio virus. Now let us discuss in this table the common viral diseases. We have the serial number, the disease, the causative agent, the site of infection, the mode of transmission, and the symptoms. Common cold caused by rhinoviruses. The site of infection is the respiratory tract. Mode of transmission is the droplet infection. Symptoms: nasal congestion and discharge, sore throat, cough, and headache. Mumps, caused by mumps virus. It is an RNA virus belonging to the paramyxovirus family. It affects the salivary glands. Saliva and droplet infection is the mode of transmission. It causes enlargement of the parotid glands. Measles, caused by rubella virus. It's an RNA virus. Belongs to the group paramyxovirus. It affects the skin and the respiratory tract. Spreads through droplet infection, causes sore throat, running nose, cough and fever, reddish rashes on the skin, neck, and the ears. Viral hepatitis. Normally, viral hepatitis is caused by hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, hepatitis D, etc. Now here, hepatitis B virus affects the liver. It is spread through parenteral route or blood transfusion. It causes liver damage, jaundice, nausea, yellowish eyes, fever and pain in the abdomen. Chicken pox, caused by varicella zoster virus. It is a DNA virus. It affects the respiratory tract, skin, and the nervous system. It spreads through droplet infection and direct contact. It causes mild fever with itchy skin, rash, and pleomorphic blisters. Poliomyelitis, caused by poliovirus, it's an RNA. It affects the intestine, brain, and the spinal cord. It spreads through droplet infection or through fecal oral route. It causes fever, muscular stiffness and weakness, paralysis of the muscles, and respiratory failure. Dengue fever, called breakbone fever. Dengue virus or flavivirus is the cause. DNV 1 to 4 viruses are present. It affects the skin and the blood. It is transmitted by a mosquito vector, Aedes aegypti. It causes severe flu-like illness with a sudden onset of fever and painful headache, muscle and joint pains. In this, there is thrombocytopenia, that means decrease in the platelet count. Chikungunya, caused by alpha virus belonging to the family Toga virus. It affects the nervous system. The mosquito vector is the Aedes aegypti. It causes fever, joint pains, headache, and joint swelling. Now, let us move on to other viruses. It's a zoonotic virus called the Nipah virus. It's transmitted from animals to humans and also transmitted through contaminated food. In infected people, it causes a range of illness from asymptomatic infection to acute respiratory illness and fatal encephalitis. Here you can see the Nipah virus transmission and mortality. Nipah virus outbreak can occur between pigs. It is transmitted from one pig to another. Sometimes the fruit bat's blood may cause the infection in the pigs. The urine contaminated fruits can also be consumed by the animals and the human beings. The Nipah virus contaminated urine may also be present sometimes in the date palm sap, which is consumed by the humans. The outbreak in human can go on and may cause about 40 to 75% mortality, and it can spread from one human to another. Swine flu. Swine flu was first recognized in 1919 pandemic and still circulates as a seasonal flu virus. Swine flu is caused by the H1N1 virus strain commonly affecting the pigs. Symptoms include fever, cough, sore throat, chills, weakness, and body aches. Children, pregnant women, and the elderly are at risk from severe infection. You can see the structure of the virus in the image. The swine flu symptoms: fever, sometimes nausea and vomiting, fatigue, diarrhea, and chills and headache can occur. And it is transmitted from pigs to humans or from human to human. Prevention from flu can be done by avoiding the close contact with a sick patient. Stay at home when you are sick or infected. Cover your mouth or nose when you sneeze or cough. Clean your hands regularly. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Now, Zika virus. You can see the structure of the Zika virus. It has a central genomic RNA surrounded by a capsid protein. Around it is the M protein and around it is the E dimer. The Zika virus could become a surgical weapon against the brain cancer. What are the symptoms that can be produced by the infection with Zika? Red eyes, headache, fever, rash, joint pains, and muscle pains. Zika virus may also be associated with certain other conditions like cardiovascular anomalies in adults, myalgia, arthralgia, mucopapular rash, Guillain-Barré syndrome. In the fetus or neonate, a vertical transmission can occur from the mother to the child, and this fetus can suffer from optic neuropathy and congenital glaucoma. The fetus can develop microcephaly, lissencephaly, or ventriculomegaly. Now let us move on to coronavirus COVID-19. It is a new virus which causes cold, cough, fever along with breathing difficulty in man. It was first identified during an investigation and outbreak in Wuhan, China. It caused a pandemic in 2020 to 2022. You can see the image of the coronavirus below. What is the mode of transmission of COVID-19? This virus spreads 80% through hands on touching surfaces contaminated with droplets and 20% through the air. It is directly transmitted through air droplets while coughing and sneezing. Here you can see an infected person can bring out lot of aerosols and droplets which contain large number of SARS-CoV-2, and the infection is transmitted in the atmosphere, in public places, in transport areas, in buildings, in hospitals, in homes, etc. The patients are given antiviral drugs like remdesivir and supportive treatment. The patient should be strictly isolated at hospital or home quarantine is done. The best way to prevent infection is to avoid being exposed to COVID-19 virus by maintaining respiratory hygiene, hand hygiene, surface hygiene, and through awareness. Now, what are the preventive measures of COVID-19? Avoid close contact with the people who are suffering from common cold and cough. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth during epidemic outburst. Stay home when you are sick and use face masks to help prevent the spread of the disease to others. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Use sanitizer regularly for cleaning your hands. Clean and disinfect the frequently touched objects and surfaces using a sanitizer. Cover your cough or sneeze with your hands or a tissue. Then throw the tissue in the trash. Dispose all the materials used for the patients in a safe and precautionary manner. Strict quarantine measures are undertaken for national and international traveling. Maintain social distancing and avoid close contact and handshake. Here you can see the depiction of prevention of COVID-19. No handshake. Wash your hands regularly with soap and water and use sanitizer. Use face mask at home as well as in public places. Self-quarantine yourself when you are sick. Avoid crowded places and keep distance of about 1 to 2 meters between each person. Vaccine for COVID-19. Vaccines like Covaxin and Covishield are available for vaccination to overcome the pandemic. Most of the countries have achieved 80 to 100% vaccination of their population. So today in Human Health and Disease Part 2, we discussed about the infectious diseases or communicable diseases. In this, we talked about the bacterial diseases and the viral diseases. So thank you. Kindly subscribe, like, share and comment to channel Read MedPrep Academy. Join Read MedPrep Academy and WhatsApp the number given below to join. Register for UG and PG NEET type MCQs in our website www.readmedprepacademy.com. Our Facebook ID is Read MedPrep Academy. Our email is readmedprepacademy@gmail.com. Our Instagram is Read MedPrep Academy. Kindly post your questions in the comment box regarding the lecture. We will reply with appropriate answers. Thank you very much.